Welcome to my first backyard blacksmith video. Please excuse the noise. My forge is running. Make sure you can actually see that. Yeah. Now I have turned it down, so hopefully it won't make too much. These videos are going to be about the basics of blacksmithing. I don't plan on getting into anything too complicated for the foreseeable future. We're just going to talk about beginner stuff. The first thing you need to know, there are let's call them four tools you will need in order to begin. The first and foremost is your forge, and I'm going to talk about that just a little bit later. They're just so complicated, and there's so many different types that I might even just do a whole other video about them. Second, you are going to need an anvil. And when I use the term anvil, I use that in a broad sense to mean object you strike against. Your anvil can be anvil shaped, or it can simply be a big piece of steel. A lot of people like using railroad track. I have this little piece here I use for delicate work. It's got a lot of nice corners on it and different angles and stuff. But it basically comes down to what you can find in this day and age, or what you can make. If you can't find an anvil, just grab a piece of steel, grab a piece of round bar. You don't even have to taper the round bar to make it into that horn shape. Just weld them together, weld them on a stand if you're feeling ambitious, and that's what a lot of people do nowadays. Number 3 thing you'll need is a striking device. Now, this is a fairly, let's call it an advanced hammer. This is probably not what you're going to start with. What you're going to start with is probably something like this cross-peen sledgehammer, or the ball peen. This is a small one. I do have a larger one, but it's hiding on me. Actually, it's right there, and I'll show you in a second. This is the larger ball peen. You can see just a bit larger. For hammers for a beginner, I would recommend something like this. This is a 2.5 pound sledge. It has a nice convex head to it, so you're going to spread that metal out easier. It's a good weight. You're not going to tire yourself out very fast with that. Number 4. You need material. Okay, this is 1.5 inch square bar. I recommend starting with something a little bit smaller if you're just beginning. I started personally with, let's see if I can find some examples here. This is a scrap piece. I started with 1/4 inch round bar. But start small. It's very easy to make things like hooks with the 1/4 inch, and it's really good practice. I make a couple of these a day. So those are the 4 basics you need to start, and you cannot really get away with not having any one of them. Now, 2, 3, and 4, the hammer, the anvil, and the material. Fairly easy to find. If you're looking for material and you're in the Toronto area, for sure go to the Metal Supermarket. It's on Markham Road, north of Finch. It's no, sorry, it's not on Markham Road. It's one street east of Markham Road, north of Finch, south of Steeles. Look them up there in the phone book, or online. You can find it fairly easily. And if you're not in the Toronto area, they do have locations. Now we get to the forge. This personally, I built. Literally everything here I built myself. Hose off of an old barbecue. Valve from an old propane camp stove. Plumbing parts. I bought the steel. I bought the brick. The frame is from an old barbecue as well. And if you want to look right there, this pressure control valve is an acetylene control valve that I fitted for propane. You can get them at any acetylene, any gas place, and they are necessary. You need something to control your pressure. This is a fairly strange setup. You're not going to find this very often. If you've been looking online like I did, you're going to see a lot of designs for burners. This one I only found in one place, but I really like it. Let's see if I can touch this. I can't turn it. Okay, we're just going to have to deal with it the way it is. Look up a bit here. Right on the top here is a T-valve, which goes down into a flare slightly smaller than this. This is just to hold everything in place. The pipe goes through that and into a flare on the inside. What I've done is I've taken and drilled a hole through the top, threaded this in, and there is a copper welding tip inside there. That is actually, the fuel is actually coming out of. As you can see, it's sort of, yeah, it's not getting the colors quite right, but that's alright, it'll work. I like this design because the propane is shooting straight down, which draws air in the two sides, causes a collision in there, and actually mixes the air before it goes into the forge. So you end up with a nice, clean flame. Now, I've used propane. You use whatever you can find that's readily available. A lot of people will recommend coal or natural gas, but it's really whatever you can find that's easily available to you. The coal forge, while easier to build, it takes a lot of work to, I shouldn't say a lot of work, but it requires a lot of effort to start it, to maintain it, maintain the fire, I should say, not the actual forge itself. But it is more effort than a compressed gas. I like the propane, easily available. If you have a natural gas outlet where you're going to be working, go for it. I have natural gas in the house, I just have no outlet for it, so I'm not using it. Your other option over coal and gas is charcoal. A lot of people say don't use charcoal. I started using charcoal. It uses quite a bit of fuel, but it works. You have to pump a lot of air through it to get a good temperature going, but it does work. Alright, if you enjoyed this, subscribe, like it. I will probably be putting these up as close to every Wednesday as possible. I can tell you now that there will not be every Wednesday. So, have a good day.